Hello and welcome to Dance Bants. I'm your host, and who am I? A pigeon on tour. And today I'm here with Corey Fisher. Corey is a Gold Coast-based videographer who grew up in the dance community of Canberra. At the age of 19, whilst living in Melbourne, he injured his knee, which forced him to stop dancing and take a good hard look at his identity and the meaning of life. Since then, Corey has been on an interesting and intense journey to find the answers to those questions, and although he now has a successful and meaningful career in videography, he owes it all to his origins, which are deeply rooted in the ancient art of dancing. Please welcome Corey Fisher.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
And this is part 2 of the same day I interviewed Matt Gray. So I just got over here and now we're in Corey's backyard.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, what's good?
Heaps is good. Do I talk to the camera?
You can start off.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Hey, my name's Corey Fisher. I'm currently working as a videographer, living on the Gold Coast. Just bought this house, which is a dream come true, really cool. Loving life. Have worked hard to get here. Met the pigeon on in Barcelona years ago. It was a pretty interesting meeting and experience. And then kind of through, I don't know, just the way that life works, we've kind of stayed in touch and then ended up having mutual friends.
Yeah.
AKA like the Golden Coastline crew. Hey, I've poured you some tea.
Thanks. What is it?
It's yerba mate. It's like a smoked plant.
Am I going to be high in an hour?
Yeah. It's got caffeine in it, but then also the same stimulant that you find in chocolate. But whereas caffeine like increases your heart rate, the one that's found in chocolate decreases your heart rate. So yerba gives you this like really unique high.
Chaos.
It's levels, so you don't have like the crash that you do with coffee.
All right. So what do you reckon?
I reckon life is fascinating. I think life can be as magical as you want it to be. There's a saying that I'll believe it when I see it, which is kind of like a fact-based approach, like scientific in a way, non-magical. Like I have to see it before I'll even believe in it. And that's true and that makes sense. But what I've come to learn from my some very bizarre, even near-death experiences, met all kinds of people, that some things you have to believe first before you see them. Like magic, for instance. You have to believe it to a degree before you see it.
I agree so much.
Yeah.
With that. Yeah.
Some people will say that with like fairies. Like I'm not sure what I think about like fairies. It doesn't really tickle my nickel, but I think it was like Tinkerbell in Peter Pan, when he was like, I don't believe in fairies. I don't. And she like starts to disappear or die.
Yeah,
There's something to that. There is something to that. And when I say magic, I don't mean something that's necessarily like sparkles and super unknown. It's also just kind of very integrated into life itself. I mean, back in the day, if someone had seen a car, they would have called that magic before cars even existed, because of the mechanics and everything of how that works. It would have been beyond their comprehension, and so it goes into the realm of magic. Yeah. Even though there's a science behind that. I think there's many realms to existence. There are some substances you can take that really show you that. I went pretty deep in those for a while. Yeah, I think if you can come from like a place of love with people and life itself, that's kind of how you see the world. I've been depressed, I've lived in hell, and now I live in heaven, is the way that I'd say it, where generally I feel peace of mind. I feel thankfulness. I don't want to say gratitude because it feels a bit cliche, but I have like quite a few moments throughout the day, or at least one where I'm like, damn, life's good. I'm happy. This is good. Maybe content is better than happy. Well, that's what I reckon, amongst many other things.
Awesome. I love it. I'm keen to ask you about hell.
Hell. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay,
let's go into it. Hell is
okay.
depression, anxiety. These are like the clinical terms. You know, OCD, addiction. These are, I suppose, psychological and emotional states that you can become trapped in that are tormenting, and that like you really wish you didn't have it, but you find that you are in it and you don't know how to get out. And
Yes.
it can feel like eternity.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a state of being. Heaven and hell, they might be places in somewhere else or whatever, but I think they're actually like states of mind, so to speak. Everything I say is kind of loose. Like
Yeah.
But they're states of mind. And when I say mind, I also mean like emotional too. It's just like you being in general, that you can be. And I know from my own experience, people have different experiences, but you can work your way out of hell and into heaven.
Yeah, right. Do you have any like
It's
quick
a really
fix
hard
advice on
journey.
that?
No, you have to completely like study yourself and figure out who you are. Why do you do what you do? Why do you say the things that you say to people? Why do you have the thoughts in your own head? But particularly, the first things you can do is diet,
Woo!
hydration, exercise. Exercise will get you out of depression. You can exercise your way out of depression.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Might take a while, but yeah, I would say don't take pharmaceuticals. You can. They could help in the short term, but at the end of the day, you're kind of avoiding the responsibility that you need to take for your own state of mind, state of well-being.
And what's your dietary perspective?
Pretty all-rounded at the moment. I used to be vegan. I used to be really militant on a lot of stuff. Like I've gone through heaps of different diet changes in the past. Right now, I'm just like almost like regular Aussie omnivore.
Yeah.
But people who probably are regular Aussies would say that I eat healthy. I try and stay away from sugar.
Yeah.
I eat sugar. I'm not saying I don't.
Yeah.
But it tanks my energy. I've actually lost 2 teeth. I used to drink 2 liters of Pepsi a day when I was like 18 or 19.
Bro.
Around the same time I injured my knee.
And
I was just eating dim sims and meagering. It was like I just moved out of home, had no life skills, and thought I could get by and be happy on that. And became quite depressed.
Okay.
Anxious.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Yeah, that wheat diet.
Yeah. But I must say, like, wheat, I don't know if you're insinuating this, but like I used to be really anti-wheat. But we've been, like, cultures all around the world and throughout history have been eating some form of wheat or bread forever. Even the indigenous of Australia made bread. May not have been wheat, but definitely how it's processed.
Yeah.
Like if it's just stripped of all of its nutrients, it's no longer food. It's just kind of like an empty foreign object that the body doesn't really know what to do with.
Yeah, right. Speaking of foreign objects.
Oi.
I'm getting a stool test tomorrow.
Okay, why?
Well, I love to self-diagnose and it's finally time to end it. I thought I had a fungal overgrowth. Everyone, like a candida. Yeah. And so I started doing an antifungal diet because, to be fair, I was having fungal symptoms everywhere. And
gross.
Yeah. And so then I started that diet, and then it was really, really making me uncomfortable. And so I didn't know if that was die-off symptoms or because of the diet being wrong for me. So I went to see a nutritionist, and
so that's why
there's a whole other world. Yeah. A whole world of SIBO, leaky gut, FODMAP, and fungus. And they're all slightly different. But if you're taking the wrong diet, you could just be exacerbating what you already have. And so I'm also getting a food intolerance test, which I'm super excited for. But I found out that your food intolerance can change at any time.
Totally.
Because of your gut. So just anyone out there who thinks they're intolerant to something, maybe you just need to strengthen or heal your small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or something like that.
Poo hole. Going back to hell and stuff, I think I touched on before about like diet being a big thing, and me having been militant in the past at times with different things, it can start to become like an ideology, and you can become too focused or fixated on a diet. And so let's just say you have that little sugar pill or that little thing, and then you're like, oh no, what have I done? I'm so stupid, rah, and you're just like beating yourself up internally, even though you've been doing all this great stuff. Yeah. It's just like, dude, chill. Like that's not good for your mental health either. You got to really watch that. Sometimes you can do things in the pursuit of good, for like good nutrition, but then you actually end up being just as like negative and judgmental on yourself, and particularly others. Definitely when I was vegan for a long time, I'd be like, meat eater. Yeah. Look at you. Yeah. You don't even, or when I was fixated on candida, I was like, you don't even know you've got candida. Yeah. You see a guy with like, when a guy's got a gut that pokes out here, generally it's like a yeast problem. Yeah. Beer, all that kind of stuff. You'll see it like it's this part, not the belly, but this part kind of sticks out. And I'd be like, I was just an asshole. Yeah. So how is that healthy either for me?
Have you ever shat yourself?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely. A few times in my life. The first time I was on a mini putt golf course with my mum. And have you seen Happy Gilmore?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay,
Adam Sandler, right?
Yeah, there's like a funny bit. I can't emulate the funniness of the bit, but he goes to putt the ball, doesn't go in the hole, so he gets on the ground and he screams at the ball, "Go home, ball." So I did the same thing as a kid. I was probably 7, and I decided to go home, ball. And as I said that, I shouted. And my mum made me play the rest, because I was being silly. She made me play the rest of the course.
Wow.
I was shitting my pants.
Are you afraid of dying?
No, it's something I think about a lot. There's a part of me that feels like a deep sadness around losing my friends and family and everyone that I know and all of my memories. And I've had like experiences of... So I got trapped in a flood a few years ago. And I almost died. We got rescued. 5 minutes later, where we were standing was under like raging water.
Is this where your little house was?
Yeah, I was living in the bush for like 4 years, I think.
Wow.
But for like a good 45 minutes to an hour, I was actually with like 12 other people, and I was convinced I was going to die. I could dive into the water and try and swim across to the other side. You wouldn't believe how incredibly fast this water was moving. And the problem is there's all these barbed wire fences underneath. That's how a lot of people die in floods.
Wow.
They get sucked under, caught on the barbed wire fence, drown. So I was like, okay, look, I'm a young guy. I could potentially charge across to the other side and I might make it, but all my friends or these people, there was like old people, some of my closest friends, I would then have to live with that. So I think the one thing like facing death was I just felt like a sense of like I kind of would really like to live a little bit more, because I kind of like life. I enjoy it. It's what I realize is living life is much better than not, because not is nothing. Yeah. Or it's something else completely. Like this experience is unique in and to itself. And once it's over, it's over. Even if you reincarnate into another life form on Earth, it's still a completely different experience to the one you're having now. So I think I've had a new lease on life ever since then.
Cool.
But for sure, like I think fear of death is like pretty natural phenomenon for anyone who's kind of half self-aware.
How'd you get out of the flood situation?
Oh, we got rescued on canoes. It's a long story.
Wow.
I don't know if it's a long story. We actually got rescued twice that day.
Uh-huh.
It was a 1 in a 100 year flood. And, people say, oh, it rained 100 mils today. There was like so much rain. Well, it rained that day 100 mils per hour for 12 hours straight. See that tree up there? Yeah. Imagine water being that high. Yeah, and you're like standing up there. But usually this is where like the road is. Yeah. But the water's like up there. Yeah, it was hectic. You wouldn't believe it when you... Damn. Yeah. when you're in flood waters, insects climb all over you. Snakes, everything goes for the high ground. So we're up there on that bit of land. There were snakes in the grass, and it's hectic. And there's like chemicals in the water from people's sheds getting washed away, and so we had these blisters all over our legs. And is this getting too dark?
No, I'm
cool. 'Cause
fascinated.
I'm cool with this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting, and just being stuck in that rain for that long we had no umbrellas, nothing, but just each other. We had each other.
Would you like to play Yeah Nah?
Yeah, nah.
Yeah Nah. Have you ever stolen something?
Yeah, I've stolen a lot and I paid for it dearly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to say more about that?
No, I just used to steal a lot as a kid, and I was pretty, I suppose, deceitful at times. When I first moved out of home, I stole a bunch of money from the business I worked at to pretty much fund my trip down there. And then I had a terrible time in Melbourne. So I kind of felt
living
like
with the guilt kind of thing, or just...
No, it took me years to realise, well, hang on a second, I kind of deserve that.
Right.
Really. Just, chocolates from stores. It used to almost be like a bit of an addiction until one day I decided to just stop it completely.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have an enemy?
No.
Do you have a big secret?
Well, no. I've done mean stuff to people when I was younger that I feel a lot of shame over, and I probably wouldn't just bring that up in a conversation. But I think some of the more intimate secrets that I would have, I would willingly talk to you about it, but I probably just wouldn't talk to you about it on this show.
Yeah, right.
But I think honesty sets you free.
Yeah.
For sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you play a musical instrument?
I can play a bit of guitar, didgeridoo,
nice.
bit of drums, bit of piano. I went through a bit of a music phase at one point.
Can you sing?
Yeah.
Ballet or jazz?
I think ballet.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of jazz, it's like kind of jazz hands, or it's just like a jazz school, and it was just like, how is this jazz? Where's the jazz music? Where's the bebop? Where's any of it? It just seems to be more like commercial street funk. Yeah, I like to say about that. Ballet is it's like a high art. It has such a high threshold for entry. They do things with their body that's like not really natural, with the pointed toe and just the elegance and the perfection behind it. It's also cultural too. It's like an heirloom of our culture, like the Western culture. I think ballet should be like protected in that sense, because it's kind of it took dance, I think, to like a whole new level of like, let's dedicate our whole life to this one moment where we're like doing, is it the Nutcracker?
Yeah.
And it just leaves people in a state of awe rather than like jazz.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But jazz could be different to what I think. If it was like,
that's a cool answer. I like that.
Okay. Is that cool?
That is really cool. Okay. Wiggles or high five?
Wiggles.
Wiggles.
High five was just like a flash in the pan, I think. Right?
Not for me, but
okay.
yeah.
It's personal.
Yeah.
I think Wiggles still is entertaining kids all around the world. Where's high five?
Yeah, exactly. That is true. Big show or informal showing?
I don't know. I think informal, intimate.
Intimate, that's right. Intimate, yeah.
I think intimate.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Big
show just feels separate, far away.
Yeah.
Some things are good for a big show. Maybe the ballet, for instance. But, yeah.
Matt Corby at Splendour in the Grass or Carols in the Domain?
Carols in the Domain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's meaningful. Splendour. Ugh.
Right.
That's my personal opinion.
Okay.
All those people, all that just what would you say, untapped energy just flaying around everywhere.
Yeah.
There's Matt Corby, and it's like, cool. But see, I'd prefer to see Matt Corby in an intimate show, and I'd pay a lot more money for that.
Yeah.
I'd pay a whole Splendid ticket for that than, do you know what I mean?
Yep, I know exactly what you mean about the untapped energy.
Yeah. And Carols in the Domain, it's like sincere, or like a higher purpose.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Everyone can be there. It's not just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah or nah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes nah. Sometimes you have to say nah to get the yeah.
Yeah. You, for a second there, you were like, I could talk a lot more about this, about jazz. Let's talk about dance for a second. Tell us a little bit about your story, and then maybe you can talk about the crisis.
Yeah, maybe I'll just jump straight in to the crisis pretty much.
Great.
So I had my whole identity. This is when, let's just say I'm 18, 19. I had my whole identity caught. Are you feeling the buzz? Are you getting anything?
I feel good.
Cool.
I'm just imagining
I'm like G'd up.
the action of this cup, because it's kind of like I could just fling it back on myself really quickly, like a catapult.
It's got a weird feel. It's a different experience. Makes you more aware of the cup.
It's a whole experience.
It is, yeah. My crisis. So, yeah, I had, and this is what I see this in a lot of dances, right? And I think this is why I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Was I had my whole identity caught up in this idea of being a dancer. I was very young, but I didn't know who I was. A bunch of different things. I was pretty confused. And then I made this move, which it sounds lame now.
Oh, I remember you talking about this.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
was
There's
this in
like a
Barcelona?
knee drop involved,
No, it was called the knee breaker. It's where you hook your knee in here and you come out like that. Looks lame, whatever. But anyway, what happened is my foot wrapped around my kneecap and then ripped my kneecap out, which I get a little bit giddy about anything to do with knees now because it was painful. Anyway, I went to hospital.
Did the cap get on the floor?
Yeah, it did a knee drop. No. It was like on the side. And then luckily it kind of just like slipped its way back in eventually, which was the most painful part. The moral of that story is I was just going too hard and I wasn't being conscious while I was dancing. I was just like, yeah, knee breaker, and then it broke my knee. Who'd have thought, huh? I
can't believe your own move turned against you.
Mate, it was meant to be. I could barely walk, but I kept trying to train. I kept trying to dance because I just couldn't let go of this idea of me being a dancer because, like, what else can I do? Wasn't a great point in my life at the time, but I got to a point where I realized, no, I actually have to rest it. Yeah, then I just had this complete and utter identity crisis that I would say kind of lasted for many years as I then embarked on trying to figure out who it is that I am, because I realized that I had no idea who I was when I couldn't dance anymore.
Right. And that was about age 18? About
age 18, maybe 19. Yeah. Then I became a rapper. Then I got into DJing. Then I got into like music production. Gone into all different kinds of things, which have led to me now being a videographer. Which is cool. All those things kind of combine. I did a podcast for a while. But dancing, I think, look, I'm just going to say it. I think there's a problem with the dancing culture and community. I think dancers have a really hard time with themselves. And that's because there is so much, I don't know what it is about dance and the dance community. Like, I think dance schools can be pretty toxic places. A lot of judgment. A lot of, oh, that person's better than I am. I'm not as good as them. They can do the choreo better than me. That's how I felt a lot young. There's a lot of like, oh, we dress hip hop, or I'm a b-boy, so I dress like this. I'm a popper, or I do jazz, so I dress like this. And
Matt and I were just talking about that.
Were you? Yeah. It's so much identity infused in it. But then I've noticed something is, from what I've noticed, a lot of dancers can't just be at a club and just have a boogie and be just as like, not crap, but just as like groovy as the regular Joe over there. You see those people who just like, they're just going for it and they suck at dancing. Yeah. But they're loving it. Yeah. So I've come to realize it doesn't matter what you look like. It's how much you're enjoying it and just that feeling that you're getting from it. Yeah. But then I've noticed that like dancers, which was me back in the past, are kind of like, we've taken it so seriously, or it's either like, or it's like nothing. I'm just chilling. I'm playing cool. I'm being cool.
That's
people
really
gonna judge
good.
me.
That's everything you covered right there.
Yeah, I've noticed that with b-boys a lot. they get this kind of like too cool attitude. Actually, the B-boys on the Gold Coast and Brizzy are a bit different to that. It's like the Golden guys and stuff. They're quite different. But yeah, it's just like this. I've seen it with some of my mates. It kind of screwed them up for a while. They didn't know who they were. It was like because they were a B-boy for so long in those formative years growing up.
Yeah. So what helped you find what you were?
I feel like this podcast is getting too serious because I'm genuinely a pretty like happy, laughy kind of guy, but you just kind of completely like, well, this is how I did it, and I'm a pretty radical person. Completely destroy everything that you think you are and just build up from the ground up again.
I don't find any of this particularly negative myself. I kind of love it.
I'm an intense. I think my neutral is pretty intense.
Yeah, right.
And so sometimes I'm a bit self-conscious that when I talk, because I feel very passionate about this stuff, that it's maybe, I don't know, it's just self-consciousness, I suppose.
There's a lightness about it though, like
cool,
kind of funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure. Like,
do you want some more?
Yeah,
I think I'm drinking it all. I think I'm also just slightly nervously drinking this tea
right.
too, and getting super buzzed. Yeah.
No, we'll find a positive place to take it, but I'm not afraid to go into the depths because I guess that's where I'm at the moment.
Yes,
and so this is more of a selfish project.
And I've seen that in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen you kind of wanting to like explore those questions in previous episodes of your podcast. When Kieran Crow, some of the stuff he touched on, I saw like your eyes light up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Jess is like looking for those nuggets. You brought chicken nuggets over, but like you're on that journey of looking for answers, looking for truth. I think, because that's essentially what it is, to get to the goodness or get to that place that you're looking for. Which essentially I think is just peace of mind, a general sense of gratitude. I really don't like that word, but just like thankfulness, appreciation, just appreciation, appreciation for your life, people around you, what you do have, contentment.
Yeah, I also just want to be content with that chaotic search. Was it? I'm getting confused between the conversation with Matt and with you. Were you just talking earlier before the podcast about there being a problem? No, I think it was Matt. We were talking about how there's a problem in everything, and
I think humans look for problems in everything for sure. I mean, think about the vast majority of our history we've spent solving problems. Yeah. To get to where we are today, because most of it we were just surviving, and now they're small. That's exactly what Matt was talking about. Have any problems, so we create them. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's exactly what he said. So I guess I'm searching, which is quite ironic, for the contentment in like accepting that there's always going to be a problem and that I can't actually solve this whole web. I just continue to dig and build. And that's the problem. The process of digging. Yeah. Because, have you noticed that, say there's a saying of like the journey, it's about the journey, not the destination. Yeah. I think we're like hardwired that way generally, that we really get something out of the process of the journey. We feel like we're getting somewhere. Yeah. But we never quite get there. Yeah. And that's because we don't actually have like a goal really in mind. It's just like, I'm just digging, I'm digging and digging. And that's good, but you've got to get to a point where you're like, okay, I've found enough. I've got there. It's like, because you could just dig forever. Yeah. Because it's infinite. It's kind of scary to think about just going okay. But you're also just like you're just a regular person too. Yeah. Like there's nothing that mysterious about you or me. Yeah. Like you and me are way more similar than we are different from each other. So, and we're kind of average in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like we're special, but we're also just be content with just being just like straight up average. Yeah. Actually, people who are average and are content with it are like the happiest people there are. Word. Matt said something similar about that, but people doing medial jobs
or
Yeah.
like less ambitious things and being
Dude,
more content.
Props to those people. Props to the plumber fixing our plumbing so that I don't have to deal with my own shizer.
Yeah.
Props to the person working at Macca's so you could get your chicken nuggets. Those people are like heroes, you know?
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah. If without those people, the arts, like as a creative person or as a videographer, without these businesses needing video to market their business to make more money, I can't make money just making documentaries, you know? So I need those other people. Like I need the plumber to be like, "Oi mate, I need a video. Can you hook me up?"
Yeah,
I'll be like,
yeah.
dude, I'm like creative, you know, I'm sensitive. I can make a thing that makes a person feel this way to help you sell a product. I don't think about it like that way, but practically speaking, that's how it works.
Yeah, right. I love that.
Yeah.
How does dance sit within you now?
Dance is something I love to do, but I don't do it like heaps often. I need to have like a good dance maybe once every 6 months. Had a good boogie last night. We filmed a wedding, shot a wedding last night. And so after we kind of packed up, just had a little jig. Malika's a dancer as well.
Cool.
We met that way too. She's really good. We love to dance together. But even though I don't dance that much, a lot of people would definitely confirm that at a party or, you know, a club, like a bar or something, generally I'm the one who dances the hardest and for the longest. But it's like it's a groove. And that's why I learnt doofing when I was like in the bush.
Yeah.
People are just like doing this.
Yeah.
Like eyes closed, they're in their own space. You don't have to engage.
Yeah.
It's just like, nah, man, I'm just whatever this is, I'm loving it.
When I met you, you were heaps doofer, I'd say.
Yeah,
I was expecting you to be still heaps doofer.
No.
And this is quite different from what I
Like,
expected.
holy
Yeah.
shit.
The house, the shoes, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Yeah. What got you out of the doofing life? Is it kind of all the same, what we just been talking about kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I think with the dancing thing, tying in my identity with that, I kind of learnt that you can wear different hats. Used to have long hair. You can grow your hair out long. I still have kind of hippie tattoos, which sometimes I reconsider, you know, because maybe I would like to blend in. Or I don't know. It's just a thought. What was the question?
You doofed and now you don't.
Yeah, I didn't really like doofs that much.
I
had to get away from drugs. I had to get away from weed. It's not that kind of bohemian culture. There's great people in it. I experienced some beautiful things, but there's just a lot of people, and I'm being critical, and I was one of those people. There's a lot of people who think that the way that they're living is somehow revolutionary when they still reply on plumber gin to take care of their shizer. You know, they're all like you just sit around smoking doobs all day, talking about how crap the government is while you're on the dole. This is a complete stereotype, but it's kind of true.
Right.
And people who smoke a lot of weed generally, for a lot of people, just go in circles. I went in circles. You don't feel motivated to go out there and work and make some money so you can buy the podcast kit that you want to make a podcast and develop and build, right? And as I said to you, I realized living on other people's land and like building my own kind of, it was like a off-grid type house, that I wanted my own piece of land one day.
Yeah.
And to do that, it's going to cost a lot of money. How do I make money? Well, that's, I suppose, what I'm solving at the moment. Yeah. And happily too. Because that bohemian or that the bush nature, which is where I found a lot of the wisdom and that peace of mind and that that actual identity of who I truly am, is forever in here. Like, you can't destroy it.
Cool.
You can kill me, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, but if you see me at the club or something, you'll still see me kind of in that bit of a trance.
Yeah, right.
You don't need drugs to get into that. This cool story. So I was fruit picking in far north Queensland once, and I met this guy that was one of the pioneers in the Goa scene, in the Goa trance scene in India. Goa is like a place on the beach where they'd have these trance parties. And he said to me, you know what, man, this is like an old dude, he's like 70, still makes like trance, what do you call it, like psytrance.
Psytrance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you know what, man, we never took drugs. We just danced. It was dance that took us to that psychedelic place. It was dance that took us to that spiritual place, to that healing place, to that, it looks like we're on drugs, but no, we'd been dancing for like 10 hours straight. It's just trancing. And you see with a lot of indigenous cultures, a lot of their dances are very transy. A lot of their music, like even the didgeridoo, it's got there's a trance to it. Puts you in like a bit of a state. But at a doof, that's like all they play. There's no jazz. There's no like chill hop. There's nothing. You know, at 3 a.m. it just goes into, I can't even remember what it's called. Something tech, where it's just like, and everyone's, and it's like 3 a.m. I want to go to bed, or I want to chill out, or I'd love to just like dance like this, you know. This is as good, but they're just got to go hectic because they're on harder drugs. And so the whole thing gets co-opted by what drugs. That's what I don't like about the doof scene. I've had great experiences, but it's just consumer culture. It's just a drug fest. It's not enlightenment. There's great things that happen, no doubt. There's people out there who love it, get it. But what I always found, I just look around, there's just people like eating food or taking drugs or drinking something, and then they're like, yeah, man, we're like, this is the revolution. This is how the new society, utopia. And I was just like, and then they would leave, and there's just rubbish everywhere. And I just got over it, and I was just like, this is just an excuse to take drugs and lose consciousness. So you can just be whatever you want to be.
Wow, that's a really interesting take on the doof.
That
which
was my
I
experience.
like.
I tried so hard to like it, but I just I couldn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were going to talk about manifestation, perhaps.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, do you want me to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I've found with the phenomenon of manifestation, which I've experienced it a lot in my life, and as I said, I've kind of like lived just from my spontaneous intuitive heart.
I'm quite jealous of that. I'm trying to get there. It's when you're living like that always, it's not always fun. I knew I was going to meet a woman on the Gold Coast, and I needed to pack my bags tonight and go up there. At the time, I'd been talking to Malika, but I didn't know that it was her. And then got up, stayed at my friend's house. That night or the next day, me and Malika went on a date. Fell in love. I moved into a house like 2 days later. But I knew I'd actually was like with the tarot and stuff, and it was just like, well, okay, I've got to move. Okay. And for weeks I've been struggling, really feeling like I needed this partnership with someone. It was like keeping me up all night. It was such a struggle. I was like obsessed. And then all of a sudden got the notion, you got to pack up and move. And so I did, chucked all my shit in the car and drove with no idea where I was going. Fell in love with Malika. You know, within 3 days I'm living in like this really nice house on the Gold Coast. Like, cool. But you can feel really vulnerable. You may not have like a lot of money. You don't know where, you don't feel secure necessarily. Right.
It doesn't necessarily always lead you somewhere good. But manifestation, from my experience, really experimenting with it. And yeah, I think you were talking about it before, really being like, nah, I've got this. Like I can feel it. This is mine. I want it. Like positivity or whatever.
Yeah, well that's the context just for the listener at home. We got onto the conversation of manifestation before this podcast because I was saying that I tried to manifest a position in the Batsheva dance company for 3 years and it didn't work.
Yeah. And hey, good on you. I've done the same thing, and you feel like an idiot.
Yeah, and because it's really scary and disheartening when you really do go for something and you admit it to yourself that you're trying. It was the first time in my life I tried to do that, where I wasn't trying to hide behind being like all cool about something. I was like, this is what I want.
Right.
I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Everyone watch me go. And now watch me fail.
Put it all on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what people are terrified of doing, and that's why they would prefer to not try than to actually try and go all out. But what I've learned from life and like with manifestation is it's kind of like not in your hands to a degree. It's almost like like, oh, I kind of planned this before I came to Earth. I like pre-wrote it all. So it's actually almost not that I'm manifesting. It's almost like, and I'm not saying it's destiny. I think there's destiny and free choice, or maybe it just feels like free choice and really it's predestined, or it's not. I think maybe you can get onto your destiny if you live a certain way, like a good way.
And you can live against it, you reckon?
Yeah, you can go off track for sure. You can make really bad choices, just be very unconscious and just be like reactionary your whole life, just reacting to things that happen to you.
Yeah.
Rather than going, hang on a second, what did I do in that situation to make that happen? You know, and feel that shame or whatever that you need to feel. But manifestation, I've just found that I've had hectic experiences with manifestation, but in the times where I've been like, I want this thing, I've had that same experience. And I would say you weren't meant to be in that dance company. Yeah. Like, look where you are now. You would never have predicted this, right? Would you have predicted this? Right. So, and this is good, right? Yeah. Like, I know maybe there's things that you want that you still don't have or whatever, but if you had have gotten into that dance company, God, you could have, maybe you'd have like 2 kids and you're living in Israel and I don't know, like, you know, maybe that's doing that is not necessarily not your path. Maybe it was just a different path. It's you know, but if you're trying to manifest something that isn't actually what you want, and by want I don't mean what you like desire from like a, you know, maybe you wanted that to get in that dance company 3 years ago, or you've been wanting it for 10 years, but you never kind of checked or changed that desire. So you're still going off like, I've been wanting this for so long, I'm just going, I'm going to make it happen now. But maybe your life's different now. I never thought I'd be a videographer. I thought I'd be a rapper at one point. I thought I'd be a sick dancer. I am a sick dancer now, but it's not because my moves are like particularly fresh. It's just because I probably enjoy it the most out of the people in a room. Or it doesn't even matter about other people. Just the feeling's just great. Never knew I'd be a videographer, but I stayed on. I knew what I wanted, and that is I need to be able to make money as a creative. I need to not work for someone else. I need to be my own boss. It took me a while to figure out that's what it was, but that's what it's been for 10 years, figuring it out. Cool. So manifestation, I think more what you have to do is align yourself. You have to aim to be the best person that you can be, the best version of yourself. And then you'll start to manifest the best life for yourself. Maybe it doesn't happen for everyone, but that's how it's happened for me. It's like, check yourself first. Something
makes me feel like then your destiny is all about listening.
Right, yeah, totally. Something like that. You have to be involved and engaged. You have to make things happen. You know, if you get the phone call, if someone is like, hey, we've got this opportunity for you, even if it scares you, you know, it's knocking on your door. You've got to take it and run with it. But I think manifestation, a lot of that like new agey stuff is just like, it's just like Christianity, but they removed God. It's just bits of like Indian spirituality, but they've lazy. They've gotten rid of the caste system and all the other stuff. They're like, oh, we'll just pick this and pick that, and it's just like, oh, manifestation. The idea is really convenient for me because it means I get to have whatever I want. Absolutely, which is a pretty immature perspective, and I've totally been on that tip before.
Yeah,
sure.
well, before the podcast as well, you mentioned that Christianity is pretty cool because they're down with evil. In maybe better words.
You really
than
want
that.
to get into this, yeah. So we're having a
Sorry,
conversation about a crazy dream that you had that had a lot of like Christian symbology.
Yeah.
With it. And then you were like, I'm not really about that stuff, but it was there and it was very vivid. It was definitely very meaningful. And I was just saying that. So I used to be atheist. I used to be kind of like a nihilist. Like I was like, I didn't believe in God or a God. I didn't think there was like any meaning to my life. It was all just like we're just cells just bouncing around and it's just all random and whatever, which is completely silly if you really think about the true nature of randomness. Like there's not like a pink dilapidated elephant flying through the sky right now. That would be random, right? Can't be that random. Every day I wake up, I can expect the ground to be here, gravity to work. Anyway. So what we're getting to, Christian symbology and just Christians. I've just kind of been looking more into, I used to shun that kind of stuff and been looking more into Christianity, and just older religions as well. You know, they must have served some important purpose and do for people. And I've realized getting to know Christians that they have a definitive concept of good and evil. There's God and godliness, goodness, and there's evil, the devil, malevolent forces that are actively trying to destroy what's good. And so when, you know, even though they might get some things wrong, they might be like, oh, rock music is the devil or whatever. But you can also kind of empathize with, you know, where we are today with like, say, Nicki Minaj, is it, with WAP? Is that song? You know, I don't know. You could say that our culture is kind of degraded in terms of its what we're okay with displaying to people. You know, we're advertising to our most basic desires. It's sex and lust and violence. Like, I can't find a movie these days that doesn't just have some pointless violent scene in it, where movies, when the violence came, they wouldn't even have to show the violence. You just knew the violence had happened. You could show an empty pair of that lady's shoes just discarded on the ground and you know that something's happened to her. I don't have to see her head getting whatever. I don't want to make this dark, right? But it's just Christians have a really strong sense of good and evil or bad, and they're very protective in that sense. They're not lost, and they have very strong boundaries. And that's what religion does for people. It gives people a moral framework to live their life by. They don't need to ask all these crazy questions. It's just, you read the Bible, that's how I need to live to be a good person. Cool, got it. I'm just going to live that way, go to church every Sunday, and I got it sorted. I just have my family, my kids, work my job, and I'm happy.
Word, that's pretty simple,
There's definitely people who take advantage of it for their own ends to hurt other people. That happens too, but that's just human nature.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it to a lighter place somehow.
Okay, cool.
If you like.
Whatever.
Were you about to take it somewhere deeper?
I thought we were going to keep digging.
Right. Okay. Yeah, well, we can always dig. Cool. Okay. Cool. So...
I have ADD. I was diagnosed with ADD as a kid.
Yeah. See. Yeah, hectic.
And I was just thinking, like, I discovered recently that caffeine and nicotine are actually really helpful for ADD. It's called ADHD now. I was diagnosed with ADD when I was a kid.
Is there a difference? No, well, that's what you've just said,
They've
right?
combined it now. There used to be a difference. ADD, attention deficit disorder. ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. But they've just kind of combined it. Just same with, like, they're just chucking everything in the autism basket or whatever. I don't know why, but I can't remember exactly what you were asking about that. But I think what you were getting to is like I was medicated from about the age of 8 to about 17, 16.
Uh-huh.
And it was directly linked to dance because I really struggled with choreography.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't get it like other people could. I couldn't pick it up and regurgitate it.
That focus.
Yeah. Well, it's the memory.
Mm-hmm.
It's the memory. Like you could teach me a math equation today. This is when I was younger, right? Much less developed and whatever. And then I would fully get it. And it was almost like I was like a little genius about it. The next day, I just had forgotten the formula. Like I just, it's not there. So choreography was always a real struggle for me. Other people just pick it up and everyone be like, oh, you're the sickest. And me, I'm like wanting to be the sickest too, but would just struggle with that rote. Is it rote?
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
like just you take it and then you mimic it. And you remember the sequence of moves. You know? Anyway, when I was about 16, 17, I don't know why, but I just decided that I want to be able to do choreography without my medication and be my pure self.
Nice.
I don't want to be, because I always use ADD as an excuse. Oh, I can't do that, I have ADD. I can't do that, I have ADD. I can't do that. Oh, I don't do math. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And so I'd never give it a go. I was just like, oh, I have ADD. It was, oh, so it's my ADD.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had this realization of like, I'm sick of doing that. I don't want to be, I have ADD. I just want to be Corey. Maybe my brain works just its own way. Maybe I need to learn how my brain works. Stop trying to fight or conform or what have you. And so I kind of for a long time forgot I had ADD, but then whatever that kind of means, but I haven't taken the medication since. But last year I got a full-time job so we could get a mortgage to get this house. Full-time job, right? How crazy is that? I never wanted to get a full-time job. And I realized in that environment that no, I actually do have ADD. I really struggled. And then I did a lot of research on it. I even thought about maybe, trying medication again if it would help. Malika was just like, my fiance was like, hell no. Why would you do that now? Like find the solution to it. Don't just go and like medicate yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, in my research, I found that actually caffeine and nicotine really helps with ADD. And I used to smoke.
Yeah.
Now I vape, but it's got nicotine in it. I make my own e-liquid. And I've been drinking coffee, like 2 cups a day for years. And I used to smoke a lot, and I vape a lot now. And it's just nicotine, caffeine. And I can feel I just focus a little bit more.
Yeah, right.
So I've just drunk a bunch of caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of our problems come from childhood. I mean, as a child, you need to survive. You can't disappoint or anger your parents to the point where they throw you out in the street because you've got no chance of surviving.
Yeah.
So there is a real survival instinct in you that will make you adapt. You're very malleable as a kid. You're very smart, very survival-esque, even though you don't know it at the time. But especially if your parents are taking out their own crap on you, that they haven't figured out themselves from their own. Like, trauma is a cycle. It's important to realize that wasn't that long ago that there was World War I, then World War II, then there was even the Vietnam War. Like World War I particularly, and then World War II 20 years later, like pretty much like psychologically and emotionally destroyed a whole generation of people.
Yeah.
So then their kids receive that trauma, and then their kids receive that trauma, and then maybe it's us or it's maybe our parents within the next.
Yeah.
It's not that far down the line. And so it is kind of the responsibility of each individual to try and like break that cycle. Which is what I'm starting to realize is the importance of having kids.
Yeah.
Is that you have the opportunity to bring up the next generation and give them the childhood or aspects of the childhood you didn't have. And, again, I don't like the word embody, but kind of embody the learning that or the wisdom that you've gathered from your life to then pour into them so they don't have to go through all that crap.
Yeah, imagine.
And who knows, they might be like, oh, Dad, you were just like too attentive or something.
Yeah.
You gave me too much attention. You loved me too much. That could be a trauma. Who knows?
Yeah,
but still would be that little bit less than what I had. Or I was a single child to a single mother, and there was issues with that. So I would like to have multiple kids, so they have siblings, and retain a lifelong partnership or marriage to give that to them. That stable. I want to create a stable family household because my family's like fragmented.
Yeah.
So I want to create that stable family.
Oh, we were born in the same city, nah? Oh,
Nah, Albury, Wodonga.
Yeah. Wait.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hectic.
Isn't that crazy?
Wodonga.
Yeah. Albury, Wodonga.
Were you Albury?
Yeah, I was Albury.
That's where you were born?
Yeah, near the tennis courts. Oh, I mean, I wasn't born. I was born in the hospital, yeah.
Okay. I was born in the Mercy Hospital. But
Same day.
No, hectic. See how crazy is this, right?
Yeah.
Like we met in Barcelona.
Yeah.
And it was through couch surfing.
Yeah.
You barely even used the app. Maybe you were going through a tough time, which you just told me before, which I didn't know at the time. I was going through a tough time too. And you just wanted to hang out with an Aussie.
Yeah.
And I also just wanted to hang out with an Aussie too. Actually, meeting you, I first realized for the first time like heard the Aussie accent, and more than that, I heard the Sydney accent. I was like, oh, that's the Sydney accent.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'd spent so much time just around people speaking Spanish or Moroccan. Hectic. And then, yeah.
Yeah. So you were from Albury. How long were you in Albury?
Oh, not too long, maybe like a couple of years, but my family always lived there, so I go back and forward. So, yeah. Yeah, I lived in Sydney. First primary school was Randwick Primary.
Okay.
Lived there, Maroubra, and then travelled around Australia for like 2.5 years and like didn't go to school for that time. It's probably where my affinity for the bush came from. And then moved to Canberra, where I kind of like grew up, but I don't really consider that home.
So Canberra's a weird place.
Canberra's a very weird place.
Does everyone know that? Is that like common knowledge?
Everyone experiences that. I go, oh, yeah, I'm from Canberra. And they go, oh, man, that's a weird place, hey?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, I don't know. I just like went there once and it's just weird.
Could you talk a little bit about why it's weird?
Okay, so there was a book that Matt Gray had actually that explained how Canberra was actually designed by Freemasons. And Freemasons are like a kind of like a old gentleman's club that kind of originated from bricklayers. And bricklayers in, say, like England in the, could have been like the late, maybe 18, I don't know when bricks became very prevalent in the construction of England. Might have been before that, but they became quite wealthy because it was like it was an art form. Now you see bricklayer, you're like, oh, bricklayer. But back then it was kind of it was a bit of a club. So, you didn't just become a bricklayer apprentice. You kind of joined the society.
Right.
And within the society, they had their own... it was also just like a bit of a men's club that I think the wives of the men were kind of involved in. But it was just like... It was very much like a mentorship program, how to act, how to speak, how to be a good, upstanding citizen, these kinds of stuff. But there was also... knowledge that they had and incorporated that came from the mystery schools of Egypt, which is like a long time ago, which could even be before the last like ice age or cataclysm that happened 12,000 years ago. Like maybe like a advanced civilization before that time. There's
planes in the hieroglyphs on the pyramids.
Right, yeah, all this kind of stuff that we can't really explain. If they're as old as we think they are, then how the hell do they have this kind of stuff? Yeah. How the hell are the pyramids aligned with the stars, with Orion's belt and all this kind of stuff?
Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock, I got a bit into Graham Hancock for a while. He was kind of my hero for a few years. Yeah, I was a bit of a fanboy. I think that's when I first came across Joe Rogan, for instance. It was like his first episode with Joe Rogan. Anyway, Freemasons designed Canberra to these like specific geometric proportions, and there was a competition whoever had the best design would win, and Canberra would be built in that design. But apparently the competition was actually rigged to go to, what's his name? Someone Burley Griffin. The lake there is, I don't know if it's like George Burley Griffin or whatever his name was, but he was a Freemason. And so I can't quite remember. It's like designed in this certain way. I don't know if it's to emulate star systems or whatever, but it's definitely something to do with like geomancy. And so geomancy is like the way in which you kind of work with the land, because different bits of land have different vibrations, loosely saying. You can go to different parts of the land and get different vibes of a place. Aboriginal people call them spiritually significant places, for instance. And they just built it in such a way with different measurements and like angles and geometry, which has like an effect on our psyche. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but you can understand how this back a long time ago would have been considered like magic. It was like occult knowledge, and occult means hidden knowledge. So if there were societies throughout time that kind of had certain knowledge and they hid it and they worked it on people, it could be considered magic because it's like hidden. People don't understand it. Like if you saw a surgeon cut someone open, remove a cancer and then sew them back up, and you had never seen that before, you had no comprehension of how it was done, you'd be like, magic, you know? But it's really just knowledge. And ability. Anyway, so Canberra's just it's got a weird vibe.
And is it a positive weird vibe, or just no one could put their finger on it?
It's a weird thing. You get to a certain point near this weird lake that kind of disappears and then reappears and disappears. I can't remember what it's called. And you feel like you're just going to enter this bubble. And it's just like, oh, okay, we're in Canberra now. It's like we've gone through the bubble. It's different. I feel like it nullifies people. There's been like murmurs about how, you know, this is like a city that was built for the New World Order, when they like depopulate the planet, and then they'll put people in these specific cities to kind of restart humanity in their own vision. I used to be all into this stuff back in the day, like deep into it. And so that's why like Canberra, there's like really wide streets, but not many people. It almost seems like it is a city that's made for a lot more people. And maybe it's just, they just built the city knowing that it will populate over time.
Right.
But it's just it's a weird place. So many people I meet are from Canberra. It's weird. I just meet a lot of Canberrans, and it's just it's a weird place. I didn't really enjoy growing up there. Personally. It's a bit boring. There's not much to do. You don't have a beach to go to. It's separate. Like, you're near Sydney, but you're not connected to Sydney. Or you go up to Sydney for a dance comp, and everyone's like, Canberra.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, I'm cool. Or you're like, I want to be cool. Or like, I train hard. But, you know, we never got like the best of the best coming down to Canberra to teach us.
Yeah, right.
Because we kind of had to make our own thing happen, which was just like watching a lot of you got served.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say on dance?
Yeah, I think dance is a beautiful thing. I think more people should dance. I think it would be good for more people. I don't like hearing when people say, I don't dance, because it's actually like, no, you do. You're too afraid to dance in front of other people in fear of judgment. I think we're most afraid about a judgment of ourselves more than other people, because most people don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care what you're doing. If you're dancing over there, they're probably too worried about like, oh, what's this person over here think of me? They're not looking at you.
This is very the mirror conversation of Matt Gray's.
Oh, really?
Words, yeah.
Me and Matt have known each other for years and had many conversations like this. So we've kind of grown up together.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. That's funny. Yeah, I just think enjoy it. Love it. Learn how to just learn. If you're a really good dancer, learn how to be a really dorky dancer. Learn how to blend in with everyone else. I've found if you're at a party, there's always that one person who needs to start dancing, and then eventually second person comes in and starts dancing, then a third, and then it's like 6, and then it's like 15. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you really have that ability. You can actually be the heartthrob of the party. whoever's going the hardest or doing the wackiest or being the goofiest kind of sets the bar for everyone else. So someone else come in and be like, oh, I can do this. And I look less goofy than that guy, so it's okay. The more willing you are to just be yourself, who cares what the hell I look like? I'm just loving it. People will see that you're loving it. And they will feel envious. They'll be like, oh man, I just want to be able to like let loose and just enjoy the tunes. But you actually make other people feel more comfortable. Yeah, I think also the choreography, like constantly looking at yourself in the mirror
doesn't help.
Evaluating yourself. That's where that self-consciousness loop comes in. Constantly like, oh, am I okay right now? Oh my God, is Pigeon looking at me and thinking this about me? Oh my God. Well, you're just sitting there just chilling, just having a good time. You don't care.
Or thinking the exact same thing.
Or thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dance is fun. It's therapeutic. It's to be enjoyed. It's for everyone.
Yeah.
I think each one teach people. I think this is my personal opinion, crump is the purest form of street dance or even dance. They're like outside of any other dance scene. They're a bit more integrated here on the Gold Coast because like Aaron Griffin and stuff. I'm not an expert, but crump's always kind of been like on the outside, does its own thing. It's a real fascinating history. And of course, crumpers have got their own thing going on, but they just do it purely for the love of the craft. They're not trying to perform it. They're not trying to monetize it. They don't care what you think. It's just about them and their fam and them growing as a community, trying to become better people as they try and become more and more in touch with whatever it's called, buck or grimy or whatever that feeling is when you're like connected to God and you're not you anymore. You're, I think like Aaron's name is like Zombie, I'm pretty sure, or Sloth or whatever character he has, but you're just at one with the moment. You're not really thinking, or you're just creating. And I just think crump is totally underappreciated. I know guys in the community who like work at abattoirs, and that's their job. They got their family, that's their life. They're like regular people, but 3 nights a week or every weekend or every night, they're with their fam, just going at it, expressing themselves, getting it off. It's therapy. It's like, I just think it's sick.
I need to get a crumper on. I've been meaning to.
You had Aaron on.
Yeah.
I reckon Dance Bants needs to have more dancing in it.
Yeah.
Personally.
Actually, that's really cool that you told me that earlier. We were talking, and I think it's going to be a segment soon.
Sick.
The dancer or non-dancer has to dance. Is there anything else you'd like to say? It's getting a little dark.
It is
out here.
It is. But have we kind of gotten into? We were talking about something before. I think we've covered most of it. Looking for answers or something like that.
Yeah.
Look, I think if you're trying to figure out who you are, the realization that you'll get to is that you are who you already are.
Yeah.
So it's just a big loop.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but you'll go through that many experiences that who you are is that person that's been there that whole way. It's like that indestructible part of yourself. It's like the invincible part of your soul. It's just there in every crisis moment, every joyful moment, every boring moment. It's just that one thing. You can wear different clothes, put on different hats, grow your hair out long, but you're still there's that essence of you that is just there. That's you. And then, I think if you are like on a bit of a search, if you're looking for something, I think you need to pursue what's meaningful in your life. I think that's very important, to have a sense of meaning. And also it's just what you're looking for is just peace of mind, essentially. That's the goal. Yeah. Don't try and make about anything more than that. It's not, God's not going to come down out of the sky and be like, I have chosen thee, or like, now that I've come down, your whole life's just going to be bliss forever.
Yeah.
Like, life is ups and downs, but as you go, you get better at like overcoming the obstacles.
Yeah.
And navigating. You're like a sailor navigating the seas, and you get more experience with every storm.
Do you have any advice that you wish had been given to you?
Yeah, that.
That.
That. And just like, encourage people. People really lack encouragement. So
love that. I
pigeon,
love that.
I really love dance bands.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was saying before, there's something really sincere about you that I really love. You're very brave, you're funny, and you're very unique. There's like a uniqueness to you that's refreshing. There's like something in your eye that's like, I don't quite believe what you're saying. So it's just like bullshit. But no, seriously, like, but how did that feel, me encouraging you like that?
Great.
Yeah. So it's
Felt
free,
awesome.
it's cheap, just encourage people.
Yeah, it was a really good example of that.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
You know, and you never know. 10 years time, you'll be like, Corey, there was that one time you said this thing to me.
Man,
and
dude.
bro, I've taken that through my whole
I've
life.
I've been encouraged have carried me home.
Yeah. Especially encourage the young kids for sure.
Yeah, right.
Is that good?
That's
a good place to
great.
finish?
I feel like that's cool. I'm really happy with all of that.
I really need to go to the toilet.
Cool. Okay, yeah. It's getting cold out here. Lots of tea. All right.
Cool. Do you have anything you want to say?
Not really.
Okay.
You're heaps 30. You're
I'm
heaps
30
more
years
30
old.
than you were the last time I saw you.
I
and
have
it's kind
matured.
of crazy.
Okay.
Like, it's really wild. It's like almost not a different guy. Like, your eyes are the same.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, eyes are the same.
You've gotten 30 for sure.
Right.
You seem like you wanted to get 30 and you've got 30, and that's pretty inspiring.
True.
As well.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to lose. You don't have to lose that youthful part of yourself.
Yeah, and I guess maybe I recall your character, not character, but like the person that I met the last time as being like quite intense and extreme.
Yeah.
And like extremely one thing.
Right.
And it's cool that thing can still be there, but you don't have to be completely
That doesn't have to be my identity.
by it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I've incorporated that. Now I'm probably doing a bit more of a conservative, like I've got to watch.
Yeah.
I put some gel in my hair. I get a haircut regularly. Need a haircut now. I'm like, I can go and hang out with like a really rich, like a real estate agent, and hang with him, and he thinks that I'm from the same society.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Whereas now if I
yeah.
went and hung out with some hippies, they'd think they're like, oh, city slicker.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
You're from the city, so therefore you think this and this and this, and it's just like that's how kind of I think shallow people can be, and me, you can yeah. But at the moment, I'm enjoying kind of like dressing nicely, taking care of myself, and like building a future for me and maybe other people, like children, being about more than just myself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's
And
cool.
how cool is that?
So then I can retire one day and just kick back in the bush, dress in my boardies, and be
Just
okay.
go back to the womb.
Go back to the womb.
Yeah.
Back to your mother's womb. Woo!
Sick. All right.
Cool.
Thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah.
This has been another
Thanks for
Dance
hanging
Bands
around.
with Corey
Koza.
Fisher.
Cos Wazzle from Wongle Pong.
Woo!
You